Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Hello and welcome, everyone. It's Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Lucy Liebfried in Chicago. Are you ready for another Paranormal Friday night? Thank you all for joining us tonight. We welcome all of our regular listeners and those of you who have tuned in for the very first time. If you have a question for our guest or about the topic tonight, feel free to ask us in the chat room or call into the show at 661-244-9831. Please press the number 1 to speak to the host. Now, don't forget you can always send us an email with future topics that you'd like to see on the show, or maybe if you have a story or a theory that you want to share with us on air. Our email address is paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com. We also have our own YouTube channel where you can listen in to all of our previous shows. Now, don't forget to check us out on our Facebook show page for more information on the paranormal and upcoming shows.
You know, as the spiritualist movement began in 1840, there were many who attempted to contact the dead and receive proof in many ways possible at the time. Photography and mediums were the sought-after lines between the living and the dead. As technology advanced, more tools were added to the list, such as audio recording devices. You know, Thomas Edison was once asked if his inventions could be used for such purposes, and he replied, "If it can work, then it will be better than tipping tables and mediums." One of the very first ever recorded EVPs was captured by an American ghost photographer named Attila von Zille in 1941, but the process wasn't perfected until the year 1956. And do you know what the spirit said to him for the very first time? "Merry Christmas and Happy New Year." Strange, right? Well, I might assume our guest tonight may not be here if it were not for the early pioneers in the field. But I can definitely say our guests have perfected the field of EVPs to a level never seen or heard before. Mark and Debby Constantino are a husband and wife paranormal research team specializing in EVP captures and EVP analysis for what I would guess it's about over 10 or 12 years now. I don't know any other independent couple or group out there that has had both the experiences and amazing results than both Mark and Debby have had, including their dedication to appearing and speaking at lectures, conferences, and conducting live interactive EVP sessions at ghost hunts around the country and at some of the most infamously haunted and dark locations ever known. I should also mention they are no strangers to television. Mark and Debby have appeared on Dead Famous, Paranormal State, and numerous times on the biggest paranormal show on Travel Channel, Ghost Adventures. You know, Lucy and I met Mark and Debby at a conference at Eastern State Penitentiary, but actually we really didn't get to speak with them and work with them until the Darkness Radio event that was held at the Stanley Hotel in 2010, where we got to know how to truly perfect the art of EVP sessions and learn firsthand what to do and what not to do when trying to communicate with the dead. They both are truly an amazing team and amazing people individually. It's been 2 years since we last had them on the show, and I think it's about time we got to hear what they've been up to and what amazing tales they can share with us tonight. We're going to have a great educational show tonight with facts, honest opinions, amazing evidence, and, well, some laughs too. Please help me in welcoming the awesome EVP specialist and their second-time appearance on our show, Mark and Debby Constantino. Welcome to the show. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing okay.
Good.
How are you, Anthony?
Great.
That was pretty good.
Hi.
I do my best.
That was good.
Hi, Mark and Debbie. You know,
Hi,
guys,
Lindsay. How are you?
I'm fine. You know what? We really do appreciate both of you for coming on to the show. You know, as Anthony mentioned in the intro, technology has been the one thing that has truly helped advance the paranormal field. And one such example is the audio recorder. Do you both feel that technology has helped, or do you think it's more of a greater human connection to the other side that has made the paranormal field advance?
You know, I think, in my opinion, you never want to use your human connection. You don't want to get way too techie. I mean, for someone like me, I'm just going to let you guys know I'm getting feedback on my end. I don't know if it's on your end.
I'll drop another phone down to you, Deb.
No, yeah, because it was fine before, and I heard you push the button. But, no, to answer your question, I think, you know, for us, we're not the techiest people in the world, but we're passionate, and it all kind of, all right, I'm sorry, he's dropping me another phone. Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
No, not really, Deb. Do you have it on speaker?
Is that better?
Yeah, it's way better.
Okay,
that's
good.
Better.
I can hear you guys too. Okay, and but when we first started, I was actually born into it. I was born into a haunted house. I'm sensitive. You know, I can see not at will, but I've been having a lot of experiences lately. But I think the whole thing is to have the passion and to not have too many buttons. Now, by technology blooming with the Gary Galkas and the Bill Chappells of the world, they can only help. Trial and error and all this. But I think, once you find something you're comfortable with and you can't have, I mean, for me, myself, I can't have like 30 things of equipment to where when I go on a ghost hunt, I unload 30 items, hook them all up by that time the ghost hunt's over. But, I think it's wonderful what's happening today. And trial and error, even the phone apps. I mean, for 99 cents, I have an app on my phone that I put right next to my $200 tri-field meter, and they do the same exact thing. So I think, technology is booming in that respect. But, for myself, I just don't like to stray too far and make it too complicated, because my theory is not only do we have to figure these gadgets out, but so do the dead. And Aaron Goodwin was the one that kind of, told us that. He's like, no, try the PX, but you know what? Let them figure it out. Tell them they need to figure it out. And so I took his advice, and I would actually try the different settings, turn my oven timer on. I would let them know, okay, try to figure this out. I'm going to leave this on for an hour and go back to it. And if I didn't hear anything, I tried at a different setting. But, it's true, and it kind of goes without saying. Just because they're dead doesn't mean they're techie.
Right.
It's my theory. But, yeah, so, myself, we actually cleaned out 2 offices, and I had no clue that I have like 200 pieces of equipment that I don't even know what it is. But so what we're doing now is kind of trying to go over one at a time and, kind of get used to different recorders. And because I know, I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but we're going to be doing the Valeska House in Iowa, which is, oh, God, I have wanted to go there all my life, and that's like definitely on my to-do list. But so what we're doing is I noticed just in my experience that some recorders work better than others as far as getting children. And I know we've had that same experience in Fresno Flats in Oakhurst, California. So I'm trying to go through all these separate recorders and try to see, not that you want to hear kids, but which one picks up children clearest. And so, because we're passionate for fun.
Debbie, just to expand on that, is it the frequency of the audio recorder that you're finding that you can capture more of the children's voices, or is it the type of recorder, the maker, the brand?
I really don't know. A lot of these recorders I had never heard of before. It's not like there's out selling on eBay. It's like sometimes I just go to Walmart and pick up a $40 recorder. And, I picked up one and it had like a little camera in it. And I'm like, well, that's cool. That's convenient. And I think it was like $40, the WD-10, I believe. And, I just try to, at garage sales, I'll pick up recorders. Now, if you're going to ask me how they're doing what they're doing, I can't tell you that, Right. The only thing I can do is ask them how they're coming through, Is it, and we've said, where are you coming through at? We've gotten answers pertaining to different levels, like level 5, level 7. But, that's a very good question. We can ask them, what is it exactly? Is it the internal noise of the recorder? Is it the frequency? But what we like to try to do, too, is whatever recorder we use, we like to, have the same exact model, and then, he'll play with it on his side, I'll play with it on my side, and then we'll kind of zone into a level to where they're coming in clearest at, and then set both our recorders to that level, if that makes sense.
Well, she's talking about...
Yeah.
Well, whatever little thingies. I mean,
I
did not realize that we had 2 baskets of stuff in here, so, I have no idea what they have.
I'm just explaining what you're referring to when you say levels. So.
Yeah, but, I mean, you could answer that, too, if you think it's sensitivity or, whatever.
I don't know. I think the more we do it, I think the more we realize that the person holding the recorder actually has, I think, a little bit more to do with it than I thought in the beginning.
Well, I think, too, it's just my opinion, but I don't care what gadget you're holding or how much it costs. I think, number one, if you're provoking, you'll probably get like an FU or whatever, but, we've kind of earned our stripes as far as we don't provoke. We try to, behind closed doors, treat them well. And, I think they kind of know, and you kind of build up a reputation on that side. Well, if I talk to them, they're not going to try to put me in a bottle and hang me in a tree, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
So.
Well, one thing that I really found interesting that you just mentioned is we seem to kind of figure that when we're doing the EVPs and we're working with equipment, that they're going to really know how to use that. And I've never really thought about it until you just said that. Let them figure out how to work it.
Exactly. Well, I stole that from Aaron Goodwin, but it's so true. And I've had really good results with the PX ever since I applied that method. And, too, I mean, as investigators, we're pretty much bombarded with this stuff. And, I don't really, I'm not techie to begin with. I don't like to learn new things. Even my phone, I'm finally going in for an iPhone 4 now. But, it's just a thing where I don't want to learn anything new, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But can you imagine for them, okay, maybe Thomas Edison can figure it out, but, just your average Joe out there, I don't know, maybe they don't want to bother. Who knows if they even need to figure it out? I mean, we don't know. We don't know who we're talking to. We don't know what dimension they're coming through at. Ghosts. Maybe aliens could figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Well, you know what? One thing I do want to touch on, and for those of our listeners that don't know, can you just briefly tell us how you both got involved with the EVPs and what really intrigued you about the whole thing?
Well,
go ahead.
Actually, I would say what intrigued us most was the responses that we ended up getting. I mean, when we started recording for EVP, actually it was more Debbie than it was I. Because we're always looking for different ways to kind of communicate. And EVP came across our path, or the other way around. And Debbie kind of started doing it a minute in the morning and a minute at night, and we kind of vocalized it when we walked through the house. Okay, we're going to do this, 1 minute in the morning, 1 minute at night, and, this is what we're going to do. This is a recorder, if you guys need to figure it out, we're going to do this for 3 months.
Well, see, the thing of it was, I didn't look at it in that manner. We actually went to, we were the people sitting in the seats listening to the lectures with AAEVP, and we had some great people, teaching us, Tom and Lisa Butler. They happened to live in Reno, so, how convenient is that? So, we went to their lecture. I did my homework. I Googled. I found the right equipment. I knew I was doing it the right way. I had stayed in touch with some people that were getting great results. And, the way I kind of looked at it, if I don't, I tried a minute in the morning, a minute at night, and I looked at it like a diet. I said, well, if I don't lose 10 pounds in 10 days, I'm doing my jumping jacks, I'm running on the treadmill, I'm doing everything this book tells me to do. If I don't lose the weight, then it's not my fault. And so I did that. And right about the 3-month period, and this is really interesting too, the entire time I did it, I am using the same equipment I am using today. I did not get one C, one snippet, nothing. I was so depressed, about the 3-month time, and we've told the story before. I recorded in the morning, and it sounded like if you were to have an analog recorder, and if the tape were to break in the recorder and you hear it slapping around inside there, that's exactly what it sounded like. Now I'm using a digital recorder, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, my God, I'm at the 3-month period, actually put a sticky back on my calendar, and I'm like, that's the time I gave myself. Now it broke, and I'm so depressed. So I go upstairs, I go to bed, and I said, let me give it one more shot. And a friend of mine, actually Karen Mossy, who actually did the trailer for the movie White Noise.
Her EVP.
Yeah, her EVP was on the trailer, and she's, one of my mentors. And, I'm thinking she had me listen to an EVP, and we believe it to be, it was 5 minutes long. It was actually a portal opening, and you could hear wind. And it was some of the most amazing stuff I've ever heard. But then it reminded me of what the sound of the tape going, or what sounded like a tape breaking in there. So then I go back and I go, was that a portal opening? Was that what I heard? And I'm telling you, after 3 straight months of depressed nothing, it was the clearest Class A you'd hear, and it was a guy saying, I don't know. But his voice was clearer than my voice. We still use that to this day in the PowerPoint. But, ever since then, we don't do it every day. We live in these bodies with 24/7, but, we do it as much as we possibly can. As a matter of fact, too, we figured out SoundCloud, and we're starting to tweet it. So as we get it, you guys can hear it, too. But,
amazing.
But, yeah, and then, once we got it, it just kind of never stopped. And, it's kind of, I equate it, it's a bad analogy, but I equate it to pudding. If you let pudding sit too long, then it gets that skin on top. But if you keep that pudding stirred, then, it's always pliable and, I guess, ready to eat, if you can take that. I know
I love that food analogy.
It's the one I always use, and I never came up with anything better than that. It's not awful.
And it was almost like there was sort of like a waiting out period for us.
Or, not
only
only
like, okay, can I trust these guys? Because, when we did it, we had figured, okay, if we get good results, then, then we'll incorporate this into our investigations and stuff. So, we weren't just getting on a recorder and saying, hey, you better talk to me now.
No, not at all.
And stuff like that. So,
but you know what,
it was almost like it took that time for them to trust us.
But see, that
opened it up. And
also, in retrospect, I'm kind of looking at it, and, perhaps you go in a place, and it's kind of like a cartoon, like, Elmer Fudd's got that little kind of wheel thing where you're kind of digging through a cave, and there's somebody else digging through their side of the cave, and both of them hear each other, but they can't get through and see each other. You know what I mean? So it's kind of almost like that, too. Like, maybe it's a frequency thing where every time you turn it on, you're kind of chipping away at that wall. And even though they hear you, or maybe they're, who knows, maybe they're on level 5 or 10 or 9 or whatever, and they hear you, but it just takes them, in our time-wise, 3 months to get through. That's a theory, too.
And maybe they're trying to figure it out, like you had said.
And maybe they are. I don't know.
Because at that time, most of the recording we were doing was in our house.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, to this day, I think we still get the best stuff in our house.
Yeah, and then at that point, the results that we started getting were crazy. And, we just stuck with it.
We were
like, if they're going to, if we're going to be this fortunate to where they're going to talk to us this way, then this is the way we're going to go. And
it was
almost like we were chosen.
Oh, no, it
weird.
It was twisted sick. They were coming up with sentences, and we would turn on the recorder, and we erased this one, but this one was amazing. We would just turn it, play it back to go to talk, and you'd hear somebody. It was almost like the old-fashioned back in the day when you picked up a phone with a wire and you'd hear another conversation. You would hear somebody say, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, Aunt Millie's.
Oh,
and we're like, holy shit. I
remember that.
It was nuts. And, when you go from nothing to getting that, you're like, you don't want to go to sleep at night. We're like making lots of coffee. We're up for 2 days. We're like, oh, my God, if we go to sleep, is it going to end? Like, what's going on? But I think you could make it. You could make that happen if you want to, if you're dedicated enough and you you have your, life in a nice little package, and you could do it on Thursday. And I think they're aware of that. And I think, that's kind of what I miss, because I'm so blessed to be so busy, but at the same time, I miss the way we used to do it, Yeah.
Yeah, and also another good idea when you're starting out, if you're going to be serious about it, is, whenever you turn on your recorder, ask for a spirit helper. Ask for somebody on the other side.
Be careful with that, too, because, we did that, and we do believe we got a helper. But, in retrospect, too, it could be just like the little girl in the Queen Mary saying, oh, take me home, please take me home. Okay, now you're home. Oh, now I'm a demon. Guess what? You let me in.
Well, part of it is your intent.
I agree. And we did get a spirit helper, but, the more I learn about the field, the more, it makes you a little bit leery.
Well, I think we did.
Mm-hmm.
So we did.
We got his name and everything, and he always, whenever he comes through, he sounds the same, talks slow, is really clear.
He can say
like,
very...
Hey, so-and-so, is that you? And he's like, yeah, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. But we always know it's him, and there's never any negativeness around or anything like that. And he says a whole lot in a very low tone, but he knows how to use the energy.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's weird.
And I think that's what it comes down to. I think it comes down to whoever might happen to be around when you're recording, whether you're in your home or, not that we recommend that, or if you're in a haunted location. You know, I think it comes down, I think there's a learning curve on their side also, and there's no reason to think that there's not. I mean, there's a learning curve for us, and I say it all the time. It's like, you know, you can have the nicest neighbor in the world on the left side of your house, and then, you know, a big a-hole on the right side of your house.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people say, you know, how come, you know, sometimes you just get nothing but negative EVP and stuff like that, and it's like, you know, if you think about it, when your physical body fails you, the thing that carries on is your soul, okay, or your energy or your chi or whatever you want to call it. And that's really the only thing that differentiates one person from another. You know,
right.
Not their heart. Their heart works the same way. Their liver works the same way. Their lungs work the same way. But it's the soul that differentiates all of us.
Well, it's the intention. It's, you know, negative.
And whether
it's
you're
negative
a negative
positive,
person or you're a positive person, and I absolutely believe you carry that over, you know, at least for a while. And then some people end up carrying it over and staying where they are. That's a whole other show, talking about, you know, why a spirit may choose not to cross over. There's a whole bunch of different reasons that could happen. And if you're stuck in that limbo right there, and maybe you're really religious, and you're like, okay, hey, I see that light over there, but, you know, I wasn't that nice of a person, and I know when I go through that light, you know, I'm going to be damned.
Or, you know,
so
maybe
let me stay here, you know, and I think that's what happens with a lot of souls, and then they stick with that negativeness, if that's a word, that they carry over with them because they're not learning anymore on the other side. And so, you know, when you come across that person, he's nasty. You know, he could be dead for 100 years, but he's still nasty because he's stuck in this little space.
Yeah, and
he's scared to move on.
Well, like that guy I got on the porch.
Reason.
You know, we smoke outside or in the garage, and I got a guy who was very, very bitter. And I'm talking like in the afternoon, in the morning, I'm having a cigarette with my coffee, and I just record. And I was like, I forget what I said. Like, hey, how's it going? And he's F you. And I was like, well, you know, actually, this is my house. You're sitting on my porch, so you don't need to talk to me like that. And he came back, and he's like, well, I'm dead. And then I said, well, you're not really dead because I'm talking to you. And then he went on to, you know, have not a conversation, but he became a nicer person. It's just like sitting next to somebody on a bus stop, you know, and then all of a sudden they're really grumpy. And then if you're nice back to them, you know, and this was the case with this guy, so who knows? I do believe that there's also a purgatory as well. And I do think, you know, if you are Catholic and you believe that, your thought creates everything. So, you know, I believe in so many things. I hate to think I'm doomed when I die. There's going to be so many labyrinths when I die that I'm going to have to go across. I have no clue.
Well, you know what, guys? The last time we had you on the show, you guys were just both amazing in giving us insight and education on EVPs. But we also heard and saw that you both are still real people living real lives. Now, obviously, you both aren't standing there holding the recorder 24 hours a day, close, but not 24 hours. So what do you both like to do on your days off?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, we travel so much that half of it is really like cleaning. You know, I was just telling Mark the other day, it's like, oh, my God, like there's been so many restaurants in town that open and close that we've never even been to. And, you know, I'm not complaining or anything, but, you know, we like to hang out, rent movies. What do? We're real exciting. We like to watch movies with our dogs, and we finally got them. We have 2 Newfoundlands, so we finally got a big cage for them upstairs so they could sleep with us and watch the movies. And it's funny because he actually does. Like, my mail will just sit there and he'll watch Supernatural. And when it's over, he'll just lay down. I'm like, dude, he was watching that. And he's like, yep. But, there's things I would like to do. It's kind of, in a sense, morbid. Like, this is what I love to do. This is my passion. And, I hate to say it, but Mark is kind of boring like this. Like, I'll see somebody on a, this is, a $5, I'm a cheap date, I will go down there and get,
please.
No, listen to me. I would like to go down, and this is just like theories, to where, all right, that guy's sitting at the park bench. Well, we have casinos in town, and it's a safe area. And, they're talking to themselves. I used to work in a casino, and they're getting answers, and they pause, and they listen back. So my thought was, well, get them a pack of cigarettes and get them like a Happy Meal and just say, this is for you. Would you just mind if I record your conversation? But, just think about that for a moment. If I were to play back another person that he's talking to, that could really, revolutionize science. If he's actually really talking to somebody and really getting answers, I could get death threats, man. They could put rehabs out of business, And I believe half of these people are, And what else would I? Oh, and there's a lot of every community has its crime, and we had a shooting on and this might be kind of a gray area because I know whoever died, it was a math teacher, and I want to say like a 16-year-old got a gun, brought it to school, killed a math teacher, and it was just horrible. It was on AOL. It was all over the country, but things like that. Not to go and disrespect people. But, if there are no answers, and they had answers to this crime, but, I think about that math teacher a lot. It's in the next town over. Every time I go into that town, I'm like, I'd like to go to that school and just see, because this guy was getting dressed, going to work, and he never went home. And it's like things like that, not to offend the loved ones or anything like that, but those are the people I really feel want to talk. Because, either they don't know what happened and it happened so quick, or they feel like they're still at work, or these are just theories. But, you ask me what I like to do, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, and that is a good idea because,
Oh, no, because we're on air, it's a good idea. Well, but tomorrow, when I wake up on Saturday afternoon, it won't be a good idea.
Well, that's the problem, is you don't wake up till the afternoon.
Well, there you go.
We've got so much to do.
There you go.
But, really what that is just trying to take EVP to a different level, not just sitting in a haunted location and trying to talk to whoever's there. And that's the one thing that I really wish, and it's almost looking like it's not going to happen until we're retired, but we would like to do more work with cold case files and stuff like that.
Well, see, that's another thing,
too. Because we worked. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but, people are always like, oh, where do I go? Where is there haunted here? I'm in Nevada. Where do I go? And I'm like, dude, I hate to say it, there's a murder. If you throw a rock really hard in your town, somebody's been killed. So, and these people probably really want to talk. And could you just imagine if they do start talking, then you have evidence to bring and solve a crime? Not only are you giving the dead closure, you're giving the living closure, But at the same time, you've got to have the nerve to go to the police station and say, yo, I got this, and not have them look at you like, oh, are you part of it?
Well,
yeah, in my mind, I'm from the East Coast as well, so my mind always reverts that way. But, you can record anywhere.
Yeah. I'm listening to you. Go ahead, Mark, I'm sorry.
We have a drive-in in town that we like to go to, so most of them are gone now, so.
I'm surprised you're saying that.
That's about our extent. Sorry?
I'm surprised you're saying the drive-in because I haven't seen one in I don't know how many years here in New York.
Oh, God. When we were growing up, there were so many of them.
Yeah.
Now they're almost all gone, and we're just lucky that they have one here in town. And so whenever we get a chance, we're like, hey, we're always checking what horror movies are playing and driving and stuff like that. And
Oh, this is how horrible I am, and I hope nobody's listening. This is really horrible. But when The Conjuring came out, we saw it at the drive-in. So, of course, I bought a recorder to try to ask Ed if he was watching. I did. I did get a response. I don't think it was him, but at the same time, he had, I guess, passed about 2 years ago or so.
No, it's been a while.
I don't know, but it's kind of difficult to hear because you have cars next to you and stuff like that. But someone did come through, and it was a low C, but they did come through.
Well, I mean, here you guys are talking about, innovative ways to, again, bring, already you guys have brought the communication between this world and the other world and the EVP levels. You've been thinking and you've been bringing forth a lot of those innovative ways. And here again, you're talking about it, trying to discover new ways, and even just that simple going to that homeless man on the bench and doing a recording there. How do you feel the way that the paranormal field has been leading? I mean, do you feel that we're on the right path, or do you think that there should be more organization of these things?
You're asking the wrong person, because I got to tell you, we have never, ever worked with a group, and by the grace of God, the groups we work with, we get to work with, Zach, Nick, and Aaron. I mean, how do you get more blessed than that?
Right.
We do take groups on the, groups that we meet, like, we'll be doing our own events now. We're doing an event at Valeska, but, a lot of these people do follow us, and we have our regular people that follow us, but we don't see them enough to know, usually it's all everybody's quiet and trying to learn from us. So I don't really see how other people do their thing. I do watch some shows. Oh, God, I can't remember half the shows I see that I think are good. But, I think, my main thing is just to be passionate about it, never lose your passion, be respectful. Don't have too many members in your group. I mean, I've heard of people with 50 members in their group. I'm like, oh, my God, my high school had 50 people. I mean, that's like my whole high school.
That's because you were in special.
Well, I was just a bad child, and I went to a special school. But, long story short, I don't know. My thing is the one thing I've learned, I mean, we go through periods where we don't get anything, and it's either I'm too stressed, or we didn't get it for a while, or you got to kind of keep that pudding stirred. But I feel like, as long as you're passionate, you don't bring too many chefs, I think, spoil the stew in anything. And, know the people you're working with. Make sure you know the building, you know the events, you're going one person at a time, or you're all in the same room together. Debunking is great, being skeptic is great, but, if you're going to be going for EVP, just for that moment, pull the skeptics out of the room, because I do think psychically they do clog straws. It's almost having a seance, and the energy's got to flow from hand to hand to hand. And if there's a skeptic, they kind of clog the straw a little bit. Not that that's not healthy, and it's good to have them on your team, but when you're recording for EVP or have them watch a monitor or something like that, but not be in the same room.
And along those same lines, I mean, really, who knows what the right path is? I mean, that's why it's so important that you have the Gary Galkas of the world and the Bill Chappelles, because they're bringing this equipment forward.
And
it's allowing the paranormal community, it's like they lay it out in front of you and say, here, this is something new, try it, see if it's going to work.
Right.
And, it's just, you in a way, you're better off just kind of blazing your own trail.
Oh, he just totally stole that from me, but go ahead.
Oh, get out.
I post quotes on Facebook every day, and he never reads them, but then we do the radio, and all of a sudden it's his. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, I'm just going to ignore her.
Go ahead.
But, it's kind of better off if you blaze your own trail. I mean, you could work with the group or whatever you want to do. But, yeah, Debbie and I we can't, there's a lot of times that I work with a group of one, and she's too much for me. So I couldn't see myself working with a group of 10 people all the time. But,
but even some people can't.
I understand that. And just kind of do your own thing. I think don't be afraid to try new things. And, who knows what the right path is, but just, if you come across something, be able to where you're a person that can go out and tell people about it and say, hey, this really works well for me, try it out and see if it works for you, because Debbie and I can give advice all day long on what works for us, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for the next person.
Right.
So, and then if your question was kind of hitting on that paranormal unity thing, I think that's a really good idea. I just, knowing as much as we know about the paranormal field, I don't really see that happening.
Well, no, there are some
groups
that are really
cool.
cool.
Because I think there's too many people in this field that are just out for their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong.
No, I think
you're
if
right.
you get,
There's a lot. Wait.
No, but I think in anything, you have a business, you're an electrician, you're a plumber, and anything you have, the more people you have get together, the more controversy there is. But by the same token, now you have plumbers that can be on TV, or you have, you know, whatever. Okay, our company can get a commercial. And
we already got the plumbers on TV.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that when I said it, but I didn't say it for that reason. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Me, like, I'm very, you know, I love people, but, you know, once somebody does me wrong, okay, that's one strike. You did me wrong twice, and I just totally X people. Life is too busy and too short to have to deal with that. So that's kind of how I roll. That's why I have no friends. Mine are all dead. You know, I mean, you know, I have wonderful.
I'd rather talk to the dead than the living.
Well, it's the truth. I mean, I have great friends, but they're all in different states. But, you know, when I'm home, it's like, you know, that was a great question. What do you do? Basically nothing. Rent movies and then, like, hopefully go to McDonald's, you know, if I get the okay. So,
well, you know, so many people have tried to, or not tried to, but so many people have tackled my next question, and we've gotten, you know, various different theories and opinions on this. And Deb, you touched on it just slightly a little bit before, but have you guys really thought about how the spirits are communicating with us? I mean, you and I are talking now, and our voice is energy, but it's coming from a human form. Have you ever thought about how the spirits, which are not human, are able to speak with us?
Well, I think, I mean, if you're talking about EVP, and this has been a widely held theory, I mean, it's not anything that that Debbie and I, you know, have invented this theory or anything like that. But with EVP, you know, it's believed that the spirit needs audio energy to bring their voice forward. And what they do is they try to grab a packet of energy, and, you know, and that's where it comes across where I think there's a learning curve, you know, on the other side, because there's times that we'll get a spirit and obviously he realizes what to do with his little packet of energy, and usually the clearest EVP we get is whispers, because it's almost like, okay, this spirit's like, I've got a lot to say, I don't have a lot of clay to work with, and they're real whispers and they're able to speak longer.
And they really do come out clear, but you have to amp them, of course. But I mean,
right.
It really, when you're listening right back from the recorder, you know, everybody in the room, if it's amplified, can basically hear it, and it's like, you know, 7-8 words. But to answer, you know, your question when you first asked it is, you know, a lot of times too, I do believe it's telepathic. I mean, just spirit to spirit, like as a sensitive. You know, I could sit there and, you know, we've done sittings, and I don't like the word seance, but, you know, we've done them. I really miss doing that. That's another thing I want to do. But, you know, to sit there and look at your house and say, okay, where are they? Light up that spot in my house where they are. Okay, well, we're here, you know, and I'll repeat what I see, you know, in my head, and I'll repeat what I think I see, and I'll say, like, blue light. And then they'll come back. Now, they could be mimicking me, but, you know, we have gotten, yes, blue light, and, you know, confirming EVP. But I also notice with the spirit box, like I'll be, you know, having a cigarette outside, and I'll have the spirit box on, and I'll think the questions. Now, you know, there's, a good way to do that. Like if Mark was there, too, I would write them down and show Mark, but in a perfect world. But, you know, I'm just out there having a cigarette thinking the questions, and they're shooting back out of that box. So, you know, I mean, there are, the one I can remember most clearest was, you know, where are you from? I'm talking to you here on my porch. Where are you talking to me from? And plain as day, it said hell. You know, but just things that are just, you know, I'll be like doing my housework, and, you know, as some people have the TV on, I'll have my shack on, and I'll be like making the bed, and I'll be thinking of something, and it wasn't even to communicate, but I'm thinking of one of, you know, 400 Hindu gods. There's like 400 of them, and the one I pray to is Ganesha. Now, how does that jump out of a spirit box? And I'm not even communicating. I'm making my bed, and I'm just thinking about it. And it's one of those times where, oh, my God, I am not recording. You know, I called Mark at work, and I'm like, you're not going to believe this. But, you know, unless you're recording with it, the thing with the spirit box is you can't prove it. It's gone. Once it's gone, it's gone. So either video it or record with it. But, you know, I absolutely know it's telekinetic. I know that. You know, how they do it, how they, you know, I think the hipper we get, the hipper they're getting on their side, but.
And I think that's what's good with, if you find something that works for you, stick with it. Because the longer you stick with it and you're passionate about it, the longer you'll have spirits that are going to be willing to work with you. And like you're on your side honing your craft, they're on their side honing their craft.
Right.
And I think that's where spirit helpers come in. Because we'll do things and we'll say, hey, I remember when we did the Washoe Club episode we did the Washoe Club episode with the Ghost Adventures, and we were sitting in our hotel room, and we were talking, and we were like, hey, is there anybody here? If there's a good speaker here, because we were getting responses, we were like, if there's a good speaker here, then we're going to be doing the Washoe Club in a couple hours. If you want, feel free to come along with us, and then if there's anybody at the Washoe Club, any spirits that want to communicate with us but don't really know how to do it real well, maybe you can help them bring their voices forward, because, this is important, because we're going to be, shooting an episode, and, you want to try to, show the people that this is real and stuff like that.
Right.
And then it was weird because the episode went really good, and we're back at the hotel room.
Well, this was my idea.
And Debbie was saying, we have to record, we have to thank them, we have to. And I was like, we will. I was like, we got time at the hotel. Let's get some sleep, and when we wake up, we'll be all there, and, we'll thank them. And she's like, no, we got to do now. And I was like, all right, fine, because we were really wiped out. And we turned the recorder on, and this spirit was listening to us go back and forth on when we were going to thank them. And as soon as we turned the recorder on, the spirit said, get some rest.
No, they say relax, go to sleep.
Yeah, something like that.
It was
wow.
like they were right there.
Yeah, and it blew us away.
And I'm like, I think we had left them a cigarette first, and then we were just so happy in the morning. I think cigarettes were like $7 a pack in Virginia City. I went out and got a pack of cigarettes, opened the pack, I turned one upside down, I put it behind the dresser in there, and it was just for them, And those cigarettes are probably still sitting there. I don't know.
Aww. Well, Debbie, you really did answer my next question, so I think I want to, turn it towards Mark. I mean, because, Debbie, you do have that psychic connection to the other side, and it seems like you do rely on it quite a lot. Is this something that everybody can do? I mean, can we, in addition to, using the EVP recorder and stuff, can we, instead of, vocalizing, can we rely on our psychic connection to the other side to get responses?
I do think that helps. Obviously, if you're with somebody like I am that has sensitive abilities, I do think that helps. And I think the longer that we record, the more I realize that, because Debbie is just the kind of person ever since I met her that kind of the way I explain it is everybody is psychic to a certain extent. So everybody has this light bulb. But some people, their light bulbs just burn a hell of a lot brighter, and it's like a moth to a flame. And that's how I can explain. When I look at Debbie, that's what I think. That's what I know, because we've been together so long now, I think, 26 years, that it's happened in every place we've ever been to.
Yeah, stuff you can't even see on shows, and it's not the house, it's not the apartment, it's not the land.
And I do think it helps. Even if, even as far as, there's a lot of times where we'll go into a haunted location and I'll just kind of follow Debbie. And I'll just be like, okay, when she stops, and she says, let's record here, then this is where we need to start, because she's probably picking something up. And I absolutely think it helps. But can anybody do it? Yeah. But if somebody comes up to you and says, oh, yeah, it's merely luck, you turn on a record and you just wait. That person doesn't really know the paranormal,
Well, you can get EVP like that.
You absolutely can. But if you're in it for the long haul, if you're trying to make a difference, if you're not just looking for your 15 minutes, if you're not just looking for a F you drop dead because you don't care how you get it, you just want the evidence, anybody can get an EVP. But, I think you just ought to be in it for the right reason, because that's the only way we're going to bring this field forward.
Yeah, and we might as well get along. We're actually asking them for their help, and that's what I was trying to say before, too. You can have the best piece of equipment out there, But if they don't want to talk to you, they don't have to talk to you. You know, and we experienced that at Waverly. I mean, I guess we were there, by the grace of God, like 3 times. And I think the second time, she was putting in new windows, and they were renovating. And, I mean, we weren't getting anything. Then we were hearing disembodied voices, but we weren't getting anything. So I forgot what the EVP was, but we played back. We had it was a charity auction, so we were there with 5 people total, including us. And you would think, Waverly, oh, my God, you're going to get all this stuff. But then we hear a disembodied voice, we record, and then we play back. And you hear one spirit say to another spirit, she talked. And it was like the tone in which the spirit said it. We all looked at each other and were like, oh, my God, what are they going to do to her? It's like they were all told, don't talk. These people are here because they want us to talk. We are not going to talk. And, you know, we caught that and we heard them audibly. It was mind-blowing. But I want to say, too, I appreciate everything you said about me. But as you're saying it, you know what I want to tell you guys? You know, not that they all don't have it, but the one person I absolutely saw it in, as far as being psychic, I think that the Ghost Adventures are such a hit because they're all psychic and they're all strong. But, you know, we've both had experiences where we saw Nick. I've saw a full-blown apparition with Nick, a full-blown in Waverly. I'm with Nick. I'm with a guard, too. We all saw it. You know, it was about 6 feet from us. But I think, you know, he takes on the persona, you know, and I know Zach does as well. But they're all, you talk about moths. Well, they're I don't know. They're all 3 Mothmen then, because I think that's why they're so successful, because they're so passionate. They are such quick learners, you know, and they're not ugly. You know what I mean? So they've got everything going for them, and they're getting great results. Why? Because they're passionate, they're for real, and they're all psychic. You know?
And not only that, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mark.
I want to hear what Lucy has to say.
Yeah, so do I. I'm tired of hearing you.
It's really interesting that you say that, because in the beginning, how we started was through the Ghost Adventures events and stuff like that. One of the first EVPs that I had really, literally, instantly had heard was I was with Nick, and we were both holding recorders, and it was just amazing. It was at Mansfield Reformatory, and it was in the toilet room over there, where everything is kind of weird, and it was probably one of the first clear EVPs that I'd ever heard. And through the whole evening, I wasn't really getting much, but when standing there with Nick, it was just really amazing, and it was just instant. You know, he had his recorder, I had my recorder, and it was probably one of the best and clearest EVPs I'd ever heard.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 conduits.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that lends itself to the same theory, too. Now, I've experienced a lot when I was a kid. And, you know, I was an only child, had nobody to turn to, but I know this is happening. And I think once it happens to you, and I use this analogy a lot, too, but it's like you shed a layer of the onion. You can't deny it anymore. You absolutely know what you saw. And when I was a child, it would happen. I would see full-blown, then it would be gone. Then it would be gone. And I'd wait 6, 8 months. Then I'd see it again, and I'd see full-blown. But then, you know, people tell you it's not real. Nobody talks about it. It was certainly not talked about when I was growing up, and it would continue to happen. And it was almost like a cartoon character where, you know, you want to put toothpicks in your eyes and keep your eyes open all the time because as soon as you blink, it'll go away. But
you got that from me.
Oh, God. Now you made me forget what I'm saying. I know. Sometimes I really hate you. Let me think. I'm trying to think. Where did I start?
You were talking about the guys being conduits.
Yeah, but they absolutely – yeah, that's what I'm saying. And, you shed this layer and you know, but I think they know it's real. They don't want to find out it's real. They live it. They know it's real. And I think that along, you know, and then you get the energy, too, of beginners with their flashlights turning them off and, okay, we're in group 1. And, you know, Nick's there, and they absolutely know. And it's like, if you hear, you know, Oprah Winfrey did a show one time, and she's like, you know, people that won the lottery. And she asked the question, did you guys always know you were going to win? Everybody said, oh, yeah, we know. We know. Because it's like you absolutely know, and then you're just making it that much easier. You know, they don't have to carve through that, I don't want to say skepticism, but, you know, that I don't know, you're just making it like you're paving the road so it's really easy for them to travel.
Yeah, and when those guys go into an investigation, I mean, we know because we've been fortunate enough to do, a whole bunch of their episodes, but when they go in, I mean, they are wide open.
Yeah, and they're not afraid of
open
nothing.
to anything, and, that's when you get stuff. A lot of people, and that's what Debbie was talking about skeptics kind of closed doors.
Mm.
You
Right.
want to work with people that know that it's real. It doesn't matter. We absolutely love working with newbies. A lot of people say, no, we don't like working with newbies, blah, 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 blah. We absolutely love it because the raw energy that they bring to an investigation.
It's almost like clay for the spirits to use.
Yeah, and it's like just
Right.
so refreshing,
Yeah, it's like they want to see a ghost. They want to see a ghost. And the way I can almost see it in my head, it's like snow falling and like the ghost packing snowballs. They're like, you want to see a ghost? Here it is, It's crazy. But I think any kind of energy, but, as long as it's positive, But newbies go in there and they've paid their plane fare and their hotel, and this is their one trip a year. And then when they leave with a smile on their face, and there's like nothing cooler than that,
Yeah.
Well, I do have a question that I really, really have wanted to ask you guys. And we've talked about this on some of our other shows recently. But may I ask you, what do you think of Ouija boards? I mean, just how different are they from using a digital recorder?
I don't think they are. I mean, there's absolutely a stigma to Ouija boards, and there will always be. But when you look at the nuts and bolts of communication with spirits, I really don't think we are doing anything different than what two people would be doing, sitting and putting their hands on the planchette and trying to open up a door to communications, because that's exactly what we're trying to do.
See, I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why.
Well, I wasn't done.
Well,
go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
just really quickly, and it was just funny because I was just watching the reruns of Supernatural before you called, and they always have this little symbol on the ground, and they stand in the symbol and they put Crawley to hell or whatever, but it's all about symbols. And you talked earlier, Anthony, about the Fox sisters and back in the day and spiritualists and all that.
Right.
Well, you have Lilydale and you have these towns where mediums live. Now, in these towns, in these homes, I mean, it's like a gated community. You have to be voted in, and hopefully I'll retire there someday. But, they have like little symbols actually built in the walls, built in the wallpaper, just little portals, if you will. And everything, I mean, this board has been around forever. And, I think it's the microchip in your brain when you're using these things. Now, if you're going to sit and use a Ouija board, you hear stories all the time about how people, you don't know if it was a used Ouija board or if somebody, got at a garage sale, used it, but you hear brand new people using it and all these horrible stories. Could it be because of the symbolism on the board? Could it be a doorway, that icky things? Sometimes you'll get a good spirit, but sometimes icky things, rubbing their hands together, say, ooh, they're getting ready to use it. Okay, come on, let's go. And, that's kind of my theory a little bit. Secondly, I've seen it work. I've seen two girls, and it was at the Stanley. They put their fingers on it really lightly. This thing was racing off the board onto the tablecloth. And, it's just like magic. Do I believe it works? Absolutely. Do I know enough about it to, I have enough respect for it to know I don't understand magic in this lifetime. I don't want to use it. And it reminds me of Reagan in The Exorcist trying to get Captain Howdy. And that was the scariest movie in my world, and I don't think any movie could top that. And I can never get the picture out of my head of her head spinning around, and that I associate with the board. So for someone like me with that microchip in my head to use the board, I think it could set it off. Now, if somebody else like Bob Murch, who I love to death, one of the coolest people on the planet, who, does all kinds of seminars on the Ouija board, I don't think he really uses it. I think he's got such a good high vibration. He's always laughing, always fun, very professional. I think he could probably use it very safely. Well, but I don't think I could, because I know what's out there. I know good, bad, ugly, and difference out there.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, you kind of made my point. That's the stigma you have about the Ouija board. So before you sit down, and if you ever tried to sit in front of one, you already have that thought in your head. So if you have that thought in your head, chances are you're going to make it come true. But what's the difference with when we watch the planchette flying off the board? What's the difference with us turning a recorder on and getting a Class A EVP?
No, I get that, but I've also
we're opening the same door,
right? And
the same things can be walking through that door, just in a different way.
Right, but I also have the Oh, hang on one second. You tell them about Adam Blind.
What do you mean? Oh yeah. Well, we know somebody who just kind of believes that when you put your hand on the planchette, you're becoming like the conduit, because it's literally kind of going through you. But but like I was saying, I really don't think we're doing a whole lot different when we take a recorder and we say, hey guys, we mean you no harm, we want to see if there's anybody in here that would like to communicate with us. I mean, we're holding the recorder up. I don't think we're holding it with our hand. I mean, I absolutely believe that our energy is part of the whole equation as far as recording EVP or someone that, when Debbie and I take photographs, we hardly ever get anything in photographs.
Well, I do. We just don't take them.
You'll run into people who have this uncanny ability to pick up stuff in photographs. Right. So to me, it's almost like the more you work with whatever you choose to work with, the more your energy becomes a part of the piece of equipment you're using.
It's almost like mechanical mediumship, if you will.
Yeah, you got that from me.
Well, there was a book we had about that from overseas. It was called Mechanical Mediumship, and how you actually imprint your energy into the machine.
Yeah.
It also, I guess, goes back to what we've been saying all night. It's it's the person's intention. So if your intention is as Mark was saying just before, your intention prior to, or your hesitation prior to touching the Ouija board is you're scared, you're frightened because of the stigmata that's been sort of set out there for so many years, that you're bringing that negative energy to the board, whereas if you're holding it in a recorder, it's more free will, it's more free and open, it's more light and airy, and so you've got that energy built up and you're expressing that to the other side, and that's what they're picking up and catching on. I just think it comes down to the intention, whereas the Ouija board and the audio recorder, I think, in my opinion, are pretty much the same.
Yeah, I agree too. And attention is everything. It doesn't even have to have anything to do with the paranormal. Right. Intention is everything in this world. So, I agree with you. I don't think it's all that much different, like I said, aside from the stigma that comes with the Ouija board, that doesn't come with a digital recorder or a cassette recorder,
Well, for me, like I actually watched something kind of, this is a long story, but we were kind of like laying in bed, and I kind of, I nudged Mark to move, and we have this thing because he'll snore if he's sleeping on his back. So I nudge him, and he turns, and he doesn't snore.
And if he snores,
long story. Let me just tell you. But on this night, I nudged him. He turned. Not only did he turn, but his torso is facing the wall from his waist down, and he sprung like something from the play Cats. You know how they would all curl up like panthers. Right. And he sprung, and his torso, the top half of his body, flung over, and it kind of pranced to me. And it said, "You look like an ugly boy." And it was almost like somebody cut the bottom out of a bag of potatoes, and he fell back into his body. And that is one of the scariest things I ever witnessed. And he doesn't remember this. Oh, here's the best. This was at a time when we were experiencing a lot, and it was in this house. So I have a Polaroid camera that develops pictures right there next to my bed. So, I was just so scared. I was shaking. I closed my eyes. I didn't even want to leave the room because I thought if I leave the room, he's going to fly after me or something. So I just closed my eyes and I prayed to St. Michael to sit in my heart. And somehow I went to sleep. Now, the next morning he wakes up and he says, "Deb, wake up. Look at my hair. Look at my hair." And I swear to God, it looked like somebody took two curlers and it was 2 horns in the front of his head. I took a picture of this, and I was going to put it in PowerPoint because it was just, who can make that up? And then we had a picture. Polaroid pictures, if you take regular pictures and you shuffle them like cards, Polaroid pictures will stick out because they're not the same shape, right? That picture, I went through 3 Tupperwares full of pictures. That picture is gone. They took the picture out of the house because they didn't want to be known. And that's my theory. But my thing is, if I could see something like that happen to him, and I'm seeing the symbol of the board, and maybe it is a symbol. I mean, it's been around forever. I've heard you can't burn the damn things. I've heard many stories about people trying to burn them, and you can't burn them.
I don't believe that.
Well, what's up? Well, then try to burn one.
All right.
All right, well,
I'll take one off the wall.
No, they're about 40 years old. You ain't taking those. But it's just the thing, if something like that's capable of happening, if I got this in my head and say it is some kind of portal, just say, what if it is, and then you're inviting that in? I don't think so.
Well, yeah. Right.
Well, I don't
We'll
feel
move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's intent, though. I mean, if you put your hands on the board and you're, like, trying to communicate with Ted Bundy, then, you're asking for trouble,
right.
And you're probably going to get it. So I think it's all intent. I used to get one I used to get one every year when I was a kid under the Christmas tree. Nothing ever happened to me. We used to mess around.
Have you taken a look at your family? I mean, I don't want to get personal here, but
well, you are.
Well, don't push me. I mean, not for nothing.
Yeah, let's ask another question.
All right, that's a whole other show. But.
I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Brian Kalick, but we actually had him on the show last year, and Brian is Chad Kalick's brother, who's on the Paranormal State. And Brian talked to us about. I'm sorry.
We know Chad pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Brian had talked to us about reverse EVPs and the fact that much of what the other side is communicating may be in reverse, or that they are hearing us in reverse, and we should adjust how we say our words to, sort of properly communicate. Do you see any truth in that, and have you guys ever tried reverse EVP sessions?
Meaning?
Well, we have edited
in
reverse.
Is that what you mean, like? Do a recording, and then when you listen back or you're downloading it, listen to it in reverse?
Both. If you've ever listened to it in reverse, but Lucy and I have done this, where we've recorded questions and had it manipulated in reverse and played that at a location and waited for a response. We didn't get anything, but apparently Brian is saying that sometimes it's all mathematical and quantum physics, and it'll just create headaches for yourself to understand it, and I fully don't understand it. But he's saying that in whatever position or location the spirits are, whatever dimension they're in, they're sort of on an arc from where we are, and as our energy from the communication from our energy from our communication is traveling over, it's sort of twisting and it's turning, and it's actually being reversed. So they're hearing the reverse of who's here with us, and whatever that reverse is, they're hearing that. So they may not comprehend it, or they may be picking up words that are not necessarily our intention. And so he's saying that may be what is happening, and also they are possibly talking in reverse to us. So as we're hearing get out, it could be meaning the opposite or the reverse of that, and if there's a word that is made out of that once you reverse it, then that's the communication that's coming through. I don't know, it was just a question I wanted to find out if you guys ever talked in reverse, or when you captured an EVP, have you ever played it in reverse to see if there was another message?
Yeah, we've never recorded questions to where we played it in reverse, but we have more so in the beginning when, before we were doing conferences and stuff like that, when we had more time. Debbie and I would, we would download a recording, and then, if we got something that sounded a little weird, or, it sounded like they were communicating but it was nothing we understood, we would play in reverse and check it out.
Well, we did get one. We did get one.
I don't doubt that that's one of the ways they can communicate with us, but to be honest with you, the position we're in, and I'm not complaining either, but we just don't have the time to listen to everything we get in reverse.
Right.
But I have heard, know,
we
that
had the
they can
one.
bring messages
Let me interrupt.
forward if you play it in reverse, and we have heard it in some of our own stuff, but we don't. I guess what I'm trying to say is we don't make it a practice.
Well, it's just the
listening
editing
to our
is so
stuff in reverse.
time-consuming,
Yeah.
but it is a very, it's interesting because we don't know who we're talking to. Could we be talking to an elemental? Could we be talking to, a demon? Could we be talking, who knows, an alien, right? So when you're talking about his theory, I'm just picturing somebody on the other side, like looking in a mirror to where, when you look in a mirror, like I look at my cat and she's got a patch at one eye, and she looks in the mirror, and then when that cat's looking in the mirror and I look at her in the mirror, she looks different to me.
Right.
Because and maybe there is something to that. It's good to let your mind expand and stretch out, and I don't know, maybe we'll try that. Just if we're not getting anything or something. But it's weird too because don't ask me how I know this, but this has been with me like since I was a kid, and I call them elementals if it's something really weird or just something that's not menacing and you don't feel harm from it, but it just looks different. And it tries to pull off human, but it just looks a little bit off. And, I've, for the amount of years I've been seeing, I have seen these once or twice, but that might be a method that I'll use with them because it's odd. When I see like that, and it's rare, and you have to be in the right place at the right time, but it's like I get this taste in my mouth, like if you cut yourself and you put your finger in your mouth and you taste blood, it tastes tinny.
Yeah,
it's
right,
like I'll get like that taste in my mouth, like, and it's only when I see this particular breed, if you will. And who knows, maybe that's one of those times when you should, maybe we should always come loaded with something, a standard thing that we're saying, like, are you an elemental or something like that, and always have it loaded in your recorder so you can play it backwards to them. That's a good idea. I mean, it can't hurt to try.
Right.
Well, you know what? I want to ask this question. If we're getting EVPs, why do you think there's still atheists in the world?
There's still what?
Atheists in the world.
Well,
I think some people are just stupid.
Well,
there's just stupid people out there. I don't know.
Tell us how you really feel, Debbie.
Okay, yeah, let me work on that. No, I don't know. If you don't want to believe, or maybe you're evil, or, some people just like to be obstinate, I don't know. I really cannot believe that if you don't ask God for a sign, He doesn't give you one. And, maybe, I don't know, just that was my answer. I have a little bobble Jesus in my car, and I swear to God, like I always say, every time I start my car, I have like a Day of the Dead guy, got a Buddha guy, and I got my bobble Jesus. And I always like rub his head and I go, continue to teach me. And I will be damned if I don't see a license plate or something that has something to do with something I'm going through that day. So to me, atheist is either, I don't know, number one, you want attention. Number two, I don't know. I was from a, really, what do you call that? Like, not bad family, but, dysfunctional family. I didn't have a lot of chances. But, I still believe in God, and He came through, so I don't know. I think maybe I liked my first answer, but you can answer more.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? I mean, some people just like living, within that box, and they don't want to overturn the apple cart, because then it will completely change, their whole life's thinking. That's and I think that's kind of what it is. I mean, to be honest, they have just as much a right to believe in essence nothing, as we to believe, that all this shit's going on around us.
Well, let me ask you this: what if you're somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer, or somebody that's just committing these heinous crimes? I mean, maybe you're an atheist because maybe you don't want to. Hey, I'm not going anywhere when I die anyway. So
yeah, I'm not going to pay for this.
Yeah, or something like that. I don't know. I don't mean to say people are stupid, but I do. I think if you don't believe in God, there's something going on there, because all you have to do is really ask. And in my opinion, He's never failed me yet, not ever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but a lot of people, I think, feel, when you live a life, you go through trials and tribulations, and maybe some of these people, began, or when they were younger in life, believed in a higher power or something like that, and just, through the lifetime, maybe there was times that they prayed when they were going through trials and tribulations.
Oh, that's
and their
true.
prayers
that's
weren't answered.
Or like maybe,
and so they're like, I really don't think there's anything more to this. Once you die, you're just going to, get eaten by worms.
Or,
too. Who knows?
Well, let me talk, because you just struck a nerve. But my thing is, like you see childhood cancer, and you're like, why should this happen to a child that, never asked for this, or they come from a good family? And, maybe, I take back my other answer. Maybe there is a reason why people should become atheists, but, I don't know. It's just, and then, but for me, I talk constantly, and I mean, we lost it. I do. I talk to the dead, I talk to the living, I talk to everybody. But, I do. I don't know. I just feel like if you are an atheist, just give it a shot. Ask. And, if you don't see anything, stay an atheist. I don't know. What do I know?
Well, okay. What are you hoping for that the other side communicates to you that you have not received in all your sessions and investigations?
Okay. I want to know, what is it like? What can I expect when I die? The sins that I've done here, can I expect a purgatory? Can I expect to stay in this, rundown hotel that we call purgatory? Do I stay there a certain length of time for every sin I committed? Is there a hell? If I've done something that I'm truly sorry for and confessed it, am I still going to hell? I mean, I don't know if you guys have read this one book, but it's 23 Minutes in Hell.
Yeah.
And it was from a preacher. Oh, my God. I had to put that book down. They were describing creatures, scales, teeth, and the pit, and I couldn't even read half that book. But, I don't know. It's like, do we have any hope once we commit a sin, or can we ride in this little purgatory hotel for a little while? What's it like? Do you feel pain? Are you able to visit your loved ones? Are you, we've had a situation here with my cat. We've got, I say 3.5 cats because one's an outside cat, but we have 3 cats in here. And I'll be posting the EVP on Twitter in the next couple of days, but, I'm upstairs, and, I forget what was said, but then they say, bring Raven up, or you need to keep Raven. And the really weird thing with this is we don't call her Raven. We've had the cat 10 years, and you get a cat and you start calling her different baby talk, and it becomes her name. So her name now is Vivi, and we haven't used Raven in 10 years. They knew. All right, this is a long story. Now I'm coming home, and this happened last week, so we get that recording. It was pretty clear. So I'm coming in the front door. I had dropped Mark off at physical therapy. Kids empty nested. We're the only ones that live here. So I unlocked the door, and I looked to my right, and there's somebody sitting on my couch. And, it's in the afternoon. It took me a moment to realize, wow, okay, Mark's at physical therapy. It's not Mark. And then, of course, it was gone. But where it was sitting right behind that was my cat, Vivi. And so, of course, I run upstairs. I get both my recorders. And this is interesting. I brought 2 recorders down, but the same recorder it picked up, Raven, was the same recorder. I got another EVP. Go get the cat.
No.
What did it say?
You say, hey, I just saw you sitting by the cat. Can you tell me who you are and what you want? And we got an EVP right after she asked, and the EVP says, I'll get the cat.
I'll get the cat. But my thing is, though, what do you want with my animals? Can you hurt my animals from this side? Are you able to interact with my animals? And, I mean, there's just so many questions I have. Like, there's just some times where...
Hello, guys.
I think we lost Mark and Debby. You there? Unless they put it on mute. Oh, their call dropped.
We lost him. Okay.
All
Want
right.
me to dial him back?
Want to see if you could? Yeah, see if you can try and get him back. Do the bubble thing.
Okay.
Unless that ghost didn't want him to talk to us and hung up the phone. That's funny. I wonder if anybody that's listening tonight right now, if you're really listening to the interview, try and see if you can catch any EVPs in the back. You never know what you may catch.
Hey, we're here.
Hello?
Hi, guys.
Do we have them? Hi, I'm sorry. It was Mark.
It was my fault. I was going out to have a cigarette, and I was leaning the phone on my shoulder, and I disconnected by accident.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, tonight you guys were gracious enough to send us an EVP, and I think we were trying to get more from you, but I think we only got one.
We sent you another one, but it was on a different email. We can use that next time or something.
Yeah.
Okay. But what we did get... Well, what we did get was, and you guys titled it as number 5, it was the Tate murders. Can you tell us about this one?
Now, is that the one where it says 4 souls?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this is really... See, this is one of those things where I was going into, like, Nick and how, like, working with the Ghost Adventures, how they're all, like, conduits. Because there's sometimes, and I don't do this myself, and I wouldn't consider it channeling. I'm not even sure what it is, but I was thinking about, like, we're friends with David Oman, who owns the house next to the Sharon Tate murders. And, we've been to the house, and I've only had this experience. This was the only time I had an experience like this. I left the house, and that next morning we actually got to do a supernatural event with Chad Lindbergh, and it was, like, huge. It was, like, our Christmas present, so we were real excited about that. So we're staying with friends. We get up, and I honestly, I felt like I could not get in my body. I felt like my hands were shaking. I couldn't put my makeup on. Like I couldn't do normal everyday things. And, I couldn't even talk. We were staying with dear friends, and I couldn't really even formulate words. Like, it wasn't like, it was just weird, and I've never experienced anything like that. And we were in Long Beach, and we had to drive to Burbank. And I'm in the car, and and I'm getting to meet all these famous celebrities that I'm a fan of, and I was shaking. And then I start thinking about everything in the murders, and he showed me pictures of the crime scene, and I really truly believe that there were 4 people, and I'm not saying they're from the crime scene, but I was an open vessel, and they jumped in, and I was almost like a helium balloon just attached to my body where there was no room for me in my body. And so we're driving up, and I'm reliving the photographs in my head, and I start crying, and I'm and I'm not saying I'm a full-blown psychic or I'm not doing readings or nothing like this, but it happens. I have no control when it happens. I can't call it in, I can't call it out, but it was just horrible because I know what it's like, to know that it's like that surreal feeling I can imagine when, you're about to die, and that's what I felt. And so I'm in the car, and the only way to stop it was to turn on music or to sing a song or, to do a normal thing, like go out and order coffee or do some real thing that puts me back on this plane. And that helped. It took a couple hours. And long story short, so David posted this thing. Now we're at home. This is, 3 months later. It was about a month ago, I guess it happened in his house. And we've been talking to David. And so I repost for him and everything, and he does little events at his place. And so I'm downstairs, and I just start really thinking about it because somebody had sent something. And I read it, and I emailed David just so he would have it, not through Facebook. And I'm, thinking about it. And then I'm, uncontrollably thinking about it. Thinking about the murders, and I'm thinking, and it was I shouldn't think this hard about anything. And I was downstairs having a cigarette. Mark was upstairs. And I go inside, and I'm sitting on the stairs, and I just start talking to them. Now, David talks to, you'll be at his house, and he talks to Sharon. And I absolutely believe, I know David, I love him to death. I think he's the most awesome person in the world. Now, I can't tell you whether or not it's Sharon or not, but I absolutely believe he's talking to somebody, and he's getting answers. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting on the step, and I'm starting to ramble on. And I don't remember because Mark had come behind me with a recorder, and I didn't know he was recording, and actually got mad when I realized he was recording.
No, I was sitting in front of you. I was just sitting on the steps.
Well, I didn't know that you were recording.
Right, no, because she was saying all this stuff, okay? She was like, this never happened to me before, and she was explaining all this stuff, and I'm just sitting on a step with the recorder in my hand because we were recording. And I said, what an idiot, let me just turn a recorder on, and while she's replaying all this stuff that she had just experienced, for the hell of it, let me just turn a recorder on and see if we get any EVP.
Right.
And I was letting Debbie talk about what she had just experienced and the feelings that she had, and, you know, she didn't understand exactly what happened to her. And you can finish it, Deb, if you want.
Well, it was just like scary because I didn't really know. I've been in a situation, and this only happened twice, to where I'll actually see somebody in my peripheral vision, and it steps up behind me, and that's why I truly do think they attach to you through your back and your memory base, because it was always from the back. But I'll just start talking fast, and it's just at that moment, like, he'll never listen to me, but he can tell when it's happening, and he'll listen, and I'll be like, just remember what I'm saying. And it's almost like, okay, my job right now, forget everything else, is to say what I'm saying clearly, and I'll remember half of what I say, but I don't remember it all. But it was like this one episode, they were telling me about lemons. Like, I have no idea. It was some healing energy in lemons, or I have no clue. But I remember half of what's said, but this wasn't like this. This was almost like I got so emotional, so drained, and so I can't even explain it. It was almost like I was hit by like about 4 souls, right? Just like when I was in the car going to Burbank. And it was like the same thing that happened when we left David's house, slept over at a friend's house, and went to, they were, I guess, in me that long. So I forget exactly what's said. This is a fairly new one, but I say something like, there were 4 in me. And then you hear a spirit say, 4 souls.
Yeah, Debbie was recounting what had happened to her. And you'll hear Debbie say something like, this is going back, but there were 4 in me. And as soon as she gets done saying there were 4 in me, you can hear a spirit say, 4 souls.
Well, because not only was I explaining it to Mark, but I was explaining it to the dead, too, because I knew they were right there.
And this is at the time when, Mark, you were recording her as she was just talking out there on the steps.
Yeah, no, in our house.
It was actually on our...
Yeah, it was in our house. We were getting ready to go outside to have a cigarette. And it was one of the nights that we were recording, which, like Debbie said, we don't have the time to do it every night, but we were that night.
Gotcha.
And she was like, I can't believe this is happening to me. And so, I really should have thought, and I should have turned the recorder on earlier, because she was talking for a good 5 minutes. But I only ended up recording, I think it was like 56 seconds of what she was saying. And yeah, she got mad at me when she found out I was recording. And I said, because I didn't tell her.
Either way, though, they don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
But,
so anyway.
But it would be really interesting, though, if you had caught the other EVP we sent you, because it was all part of this EVP.
Yeah, but that's okay.
That's next time. That's right.
Yeah, but she's happy now that I recorded.
This one's pretty interesting, and I'll just warn everybody now, if you want to listen up, raise the dial on your laptops, your phones, whatever you have right now. Raise it up. It's a very quick EVP. It's about, I think it's 3 seconds long. So listen for it. I think what you guys are saying is, Debbie, you're talking about, I think I had 4 in me, and then you're going to hear the EVP say there were 4 souls.
Right. The EVP says 4 souls.
Okay, I'm going to play this a few times, so listen in.
It's all about there were 4 in me, 4 souls. It's all about there were 4 in me, 4 souls. It's all about there were 4 in me, 4 souls.
I hear that very clearly.
Didn't you hear
I hear it.
I mean, it was even clearer right off the recorder.
Yeah, and the S in souls doesn't come up because Debbie starts saying something else. So it kind of cuts off the S in souls, but you can clearly hear. And
I'm going to tell you something really interesting, and this pertains to the other EVP that unfortunately people can't hear, but in the same clip, in the same, I don't know, it was 2-minute recording or whatever.
Not even, 56 seconds.
All right, whatever. But he had pulled up another one, which we sent to you, but it was in a different email, so you guys didn't get it. But I don't remember. It was after that.
Yeah,
and I mentioned,
the recording.
all right, well, let me do what I remember. I remember talking about David, and I remember talking about his house, and I remember it, and it was after 4 souls, and it mentioned David, and then you hear someone say, David plays me.
No, David's playing me.
David's playing me. But David always attributes to whoever he channels to Sharon. Now I'll tell you something else really creepy. This was, I don't know if it had to have been before you got down, because I don't remember you being there, but I felt, and it was just like more of a knowledge than a feeling, right? I feel like, if girl pal comes behind you and just kind of hangs around your neck, you know, like chick to chick thing, you know.
Yeah, you did tell me.
Well, anyway, yeah, but I don't know if you were down there at that time. Well, you had to be if you recorded, but anyway. So I feel that, and I feel like there's a mirror there, and I feel like whoever this girl is like cares about me, and then she like has me like I didn't feel her turn my face, but I wanted my face to turn, look in the mirror, and it was one of these like I was really depressed, and she's like, oh girl, like you have to put on some makeup, like that type of thing, and in this I told Mark about it, and I'm like whoever it was like blonde but short, and I'm like that couldn't be Sharon, right? And he's like no. I'm like whoever it was my height. And he goes, no, Sharon was an actress. She was a model. She's like, back then the models were 6 feet tall. Well, I Google Sharon Tate's height, and she was 5'5", and I'm 5'3". And now I'm not in any way saying it was her, but I do know that David, and I've been to his house, and he totally respects her. He's got a beautiful portrait of her in his living room. And, you know, my heart goes out to those souls. And I mean, could it be? It's possible. I don't know, but I do know that we have EVP. Now, whether or not they hear our conversations and are playing Sharon or playing this or playing that, that's very possible. But I will tell you, it's the same feeling. It's like a non-escapable, oh, my God, I need my body back type of feeling. And it only happened this year. It only happened on the way from David's house and when I was emailing David. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. So
it's interesting, though. Oh, yeah, it is.
Well, you know what, guys? I do, you know, you're hosting a con at the Villisca Axe Murder House. And I know from our last interview with you that this is one of the places that you have been itching to get to for a long time. Now, Anthony and I have investigated this place. We did it last year, and we had an amazing experience. What do you hope to get at Villisca, or what do you wish to receive while you're there?
You know, my heart just goes out to the kids, or the thought that kids are actually in pain, or, you know, any EVP we've gotten. This is another reason why I really want to go. People send me stuff all the time, and we just don't have the amount of time to listen to, you know. But, you know, anything we got from Villisca was always very clear, and it was always children, and the children always seem happy, which, thank God, you know. But I don't understand why, you know, I'm interested to know whether or not it's intelligent. I'm bringing a slew of toys. You know, my heart's always gone out to the kids and understanding exactly what happened. I mean, you have axes, you know, to where the blunt end of the axe was actually used to kill the people. Now, how do you get a house with 8 people in a small, tiny house where they don't hear each other? So, I mean, I have theories, you know, back then you could have used chloroform, you know, or a psychic sleep, like my theory is on Amityville. There was a train that went, you know, right behind it. You know, I don't know, but I would just, you know, like to, I don't know if the relatives are even still alive, but see if we get some answers, you know, who actually did this to you. You know, are you guys okay? Why are you still talking? You know, and if these kids come back and say, because you guys are talking to us, I'm going to be really upset. But you don't know. You know, maybe we're giving them attention. And, you know, it's like, hey, I mean, who knows? I just hate the thought of seeing kids stuck somewhere. But from the EVP that I previously heard, they don't seem stuck. They don't seem unhappy. But I don't know. I mean, just think, even if we can't solve the crime and everybody's dead and gone, if they give answers that are credible evidence, can you imagine where that could take us with crimes now that are unsolved?
Yeah,
right.
I think that's in part what I'm kind of looking for, to see if we can find any answers that people don't know about.
Yeah.
Or, you know, maybe to find out, you know, exactly who did it, or, you know,
or
maybe
a little
just
piece of information that just fits.
I wouldn't mind trying to get a hold of the person that committed the murders. And
no,
if
you don't want to do
possible,
that. Why would you want to do that? They've already been murdered. Why bring him in the same place they're in?
Well, Deb, because we don't know. Okay.
No, that's just playing with fire. I wouldn't want to do that.
We don't know, when we communicate with somebody, we don't know if that person's in the room with us or they're 20 miles away.
Right, but I certainly wouldn't want to do it in their home.
I would like to know who did it. Maybe just sit there and say to the person, hey, look, you know, you don't really have anything to worry about anymore. You're not on this plane with us anymore.
Well, you don't know that either. You don't know.
Well, I mean, they don't have to worry about our laws.
Right, but I mean,
so
I certainly,
I would
now
like
those
to get
people
a
have
name.
gone through enough. You want to do that, you do it in the hotel room.
I would like to get a name of a person that did it. And we don't normally get children, and my theory is because Debbie and I lost a daughter, and I don't really like getting EVP from children. Just, for some reason, it just bothers me, because I just want to think that, that they just, when God forbid something happens to a child, they just go. They're just gone, and they're just taken care of for eternity. And at least that's my theory why we don't get a lot of children. So I'm also kind of curious to see if we're going to come up with EVP, from the children there.
Well, see, that's why I'm breaking out all those other recorders that we've gotten kids on before.
Yeah, so, but yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait. And then we're going to be going there with Chris Dedman. And I've heard not a bad word about Johnny Hauser. We've talked to him on the phone. Everybody says he's the coolest guy on the planet. And he lives right next door. Yeah, everybody says that. And evidently he lives in the house of the people that discovered the bodies. And he'll be doing a tour. And, Chris Dedman, which is awesome, because we've always loved him at every event. But you never get to work with the other, speakers. They're speaking while you're hunting or whatever. So we actually get to work with Chris. And, he's done a long history. I think he's written a book on the Valeska House. And he did the episode on Ghost Adventures. So, I'm just stoked. I am stoked. This is going to be my 1 year that, I'm so excited about it. So.
Well, one of the stories, or one of the things that we learned from Johnny when we were there and we talked to him, that he's actually had things in his own home. And, he's not sure if they've sort of visited, come over from the Valeska House and visited him over there, or if it's a whole set of new spirits that are sort of visiting him at his own home. So he can tell you a bunch of stories just from his own house, and pretty frightening. So you guys are I mean, and I know, I think tickets are still available for this, correct?
Yeah, they are. And if you're interested, you can go to our site, which is www.spirits.speak.com. You can click the banner. It shows you the itinerary, the dates, and all that. So I know I'm stoked. I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, and you guys, whenever you do a con, you usually you have smaller groups. I know that you've mentioned that to us the last time you were on, and I applaud you for that, because smaller groups, it's first of all, it's better to organize that way, but you're also better, you can get better EVPs, you can get a better investigation with a smaller group than having sort of that contamination of 100 people in one area.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the ghosts are, come on, the ghosts aren't going to be in there if they see 200 people walking up to their bedroom,
Right.
So for us, there's only the two of us. So this event and the size of the house, we may bring up to 30, and only because we're breaking up the groups, and we'll have Chris there too. But everybody will get 6 hours of our time hands-on each night, and time with Chris, and we have we have a lot going on.
Yeah, and we're going to break it up to where we're not bringing in more than 15 people, and the way we do what we do. The way Debbie and I do what we do is we have everyone on the same page. We don't have people just kind of wandering around and doing an EVP session up in the closet, and while we're trying to do one in the living room. We have all of our conferences, we have everybody on the same page, and everybody is kind of like sitting with us.
Well, we have a lot.
We're all in sync. We're all doing the same thing, especially in a small location.
Well, we have a lot of repeat offenders, really too, that we've actually gathered a following, and, people actually follow us to events. Clearly it's to see you, but no, I'm joking.
Well,
but, all right, let me finish. Dude, please, you're not a comedian. And these people kind of know how we roll. They're there to learn. Everything's nice and quiet. And, we know a lot of the people that have already purchased tickets. So it's cool, we know the people, we've worked with them, we know they're cool, we know they're not going to be in the other room whispering, and we're not going to allow that too. And, we don't provoke anyway, but we actually wrote on the banner for this one that, any provokers will be asked to leave, because, look what happened there. They've gone through enough, so.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have the respect. It's simply because of what happened there and the children factor. So you have to come in with that respect.
Yeah, you do.
And why wouldn't you anyway? I mean...
Well, there's, we just wrote it down, so...
Yeah, so, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a meet and greet. We're going to be getting some food for the meet and greet, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And
we're also
when is that again? What's the date of that?
That's going to be August 23rd and 24th. I want to say Saturday and Sunday. And it's in Valeska, Iowa. And if anybody is interested, you can go to our site, and we can help you out with hotels and, whatever you need. Also, too, I got to kind of let you know, we're not sure on dates with this one, but we will be doing something back east in Pennsylvania and hopefully in Los Angeles before Valeska. So we don't have any dates yet or anything like that, but it's just kind of hanging up in the air, and it's probably going to be quickies. But I don't know.
Awesome.
Quickies are good.
Yeah.
So that came out wrong, but yeah.
Well, Lucy, go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead. I think our next big getaway is going to be Debbie and I are going to spend one night in one of our daughter's rooms. It'll be like a sleepover, only be in our own house.
Yeah.
And we'll spend a night in one of our daughter's rooms and see what happens.
Well, it's just really weird because the room's like, it's a big house. It's like...
Well, it's not that big.
Well, it's like 2,100 square feet, but there's 2 rooms that we don't use, and they're offices. And if ever you hear anything, it's always like in the offices, and we make sure the doors are shut. I even lock them because my swag's in there, and I know cats don't get in there. And it was like the other day I went to clean this bathroom, and you could just feel like eyes staring at you, and I was like, I can clean the bathroom now. And my cat's in the sink blinking, but you just get that sense where I didn't see anything or anything like that. So he's all, well, let's have a slumber party and sleep in one room, and I'm like, doesn't sound too fun to me, but we'll see what happens.
It'll be a good experiment.
So
Lucy and I are, and I don't know if when you just mentioned now that you were going to sort of do something on the East Coast in Pennsylvania, but Lucy and I are going to Penhurst Asylum in April, and we're going to be doing a private investigation there. Are there any tips or advice that you can give us for that place?
Well, I tell you, Tim's a dear friend too. I love, if you can get in Devon, I love Devon. There's a bathroom in Devon that you go in, and Tim will know about it.
Because he was there with us.
Yeah, it's totally, the black gets blacker than ink. We've gotten sounds of what sounds like pool balls going off on EVP. To me, I love Devon. I love the Devon building. I love that bathroom. As far as questions, Mark, what's the name of that one guy that...
The one kid that supposedly got killed.
I can't remember it now.
We got his name.
And it was a big banner.
Big John or something?
Oh, I don't remember. I'll remember if I go into my... I can email you the names we got and stuff if you even want to know.
Okay.
Some people like to
know. Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
and
please.
And it's not only that. When you talk to Timothy, he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
And if he has his computer with him, ask him to play the EVP that he has of the gunshot sound, because that's what brought us to asking questions about who got killed. And we got a name, Big something. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, I don't remember either. Tim will know, though.
Yeah, Tim will know.
Yeah, and he brought out his laptop, and it was like, oh my God, we're not going to have time to talk because his stuff was way better than ours. He was getting this amazing stuff. It was crazy.
That's a really cool place to investigate.
Yeah, and you'll get lost in there. And just if you're going on a private, just to walk around amongst those buildings, and oh God, what's across from Mayflower, Mark? Across from the Mayflower. Oh God.
I don't remember. There's so many buildings out there, but you're talking about the one by the swing sets?
No, that's Devon. But if you're standing in front of the Mayflower and they have a porta potty there, to your left is going to be this big old abandoned building. I don't know why, but that's always the one I wanted to go in. So if you're standing, that's a good analogy. Okay, you're in front of the porta potty, but you're in front of the parking lot. So it's going to be to your left. It's just this old building with all these weeds growing. All the buildings are like that, but I don't know, something just calling to evil from there to me. I just want to go in that building. So.
I'm so excited. I have chills.
Yeah, you're gonna love it. And bring a lot of pictures just for it's such a beautiful. I mean, it almost looks like, the swing set is so overrun with growth, and it looks like something out of a horror movie when you get in there, and it's like, it's going to be awesome with just you guys. Oh, that's going to be great.
Oh, God,
you guys
this
are going
is
to get
so cool.
great stuff. All right, cool.
Yeah, I can't wait. Well, you know what, guys? I thank you so much. You know what? We've had the best time talking with you both, and I think our listeners have as well. So we want to thank you again for coming on the show. Do you have any last words for the audience?
No, just don't provoke and just, keep watching Ghost Adventures. I don't know. No one ever asked me that. No, just, come to our events and, we'll hang out and have a good time at Valeska and meet Johnny Hauser and listen to you guys. I don't know. I don't know. That came out pretty lame, but, we love you guys, and thanks for having us.
Well,
we love you.
We do. And guys, everybody's listening, go to spirits-speak.com. You can check out the newest con, which they have coming up in August at the Valeska Axe Murder House, which I can vouch, and Lucy can vouch, the place is amazing. And what better way to do it with Debbie and Mark at this location? You'll have a fantastic time, an amazing experience. So thank you, Debbie and Mark. Thank you so much for coming on the show for the second time. We love the first one. We love the second interview with you guys. You guys are just truly amazing. So, again, thank you so much, and, have a great weekend.
Oh, you too, and thank you, guys. Enjoy yourselves at Penhurst.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Lucy, we actually didn't officially announce anything.
No, we didn't.
We didn't, and we sort of leaked it into the questions as we were talking to the great Mark and Debbie. But, yeah, we're going to Penhurst Asylum in, I don't even know what town it is, but it's in Pennsylvania. Spring City, Pennsylvania, that's it. We're going to be doing that on what date? April 17th?
April 17th.
Which is a Thursday. So it's not a Friday. It's going to be a Thursday for everyone, and that is that's leading up into Easter weekend. So we're going to do the live broadcast on Thursday, April 17th at Penhurst Asylum, Insane Asylum. I can't wait. Excited for that. And we are also, again, we're going to try this. We've got some new equipment, but we're going to also do a Ustream. I think it's Ustream, is it?
Justin TV and Ustream. There's two.
Right. I'm not sure if we're going to do both or maybe it's just Ustream, but we're going to do live video feed as well. We're going to try our best. We know it didn't work. We're going to try. We've already tested it out, and it actually worked. Here, at Lucy's house, it worked. But we're going to try it again, and we'll try it at Penhurst, and we'll do live video feed, and we'll do a live audio broadcast on air here at Paranormal Review Radio. And you can pick whichever media you want and listen in or watch us or do both, whatever you want to do. We're going to do call-ins as well, so we'll have you guys who are sitting comfortably at home calling into the show, which we will have you on the phone in Penhurst, and we'll invite you guys to ask questions and include you in on those EVP sessions that we have, like we've always done for every other paranormal investigation that we've done at haunted locations. So we want to include you guys in on it as well, if you may not be able to ever get a chance to do that. So I'm excited for it. We actually just confirmed it earlier, maybe 2 days ago, Lucy?
Yeah. I'm really excited about this thing.
Yeah. Originally, we were going to do another location, which we mentioned it when we were interviewed on Mateo's radio show, but that fell through. But we're still going to an insane asylum. I think what it means is we're crazy, maybe.
No, talk to my people.
Talk to your doctors, right?
No, I'm really excited. And when she talked about the buildings and stuff, the hair on my head starts. I've got chills. I've got absolute chills. I can't wait. I really cannot wait. This is one place that I've wanted to go for such a long time. I really have. And I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I saw it on the episode of Ghost Adventures, I've wanted to go there. It's been on my to-do list, one of the things. And along with Valeska, and Lucy and I got to go last year to that for my birthday, right?
That was your
my birthday?
present.
And, truly, Villisca, I mean, I want to go back. I really do want to go back there again.
Yes.
We should talk to Johnny Hauser and set that up. Maybe this year. Maybe we should do it this year. I don't know.
Maybe not in August. So hot. Maybe before.
Yeah,
then?
I agree. Yeah, maybe towards the fall. Maybe when it gets a little bit cooler, we can go back there again. But if you're able to do it, go with Mark and Debby. I mean, Lucy and I have done investigations with Mark and Debby. We've done it with the guys at Ghost Adventures at Mansfield and Stanley Hotel and Eastern State Penitentiary. And truly, you watch them on television, Mark and Debby. You watch them, and you're amazed at how well they capture. But what happens when you're at these con-cons that Mark and Debby put on, you're actually learning. They're teaching you as they're doing it. They're physically showing you. And as detailed as Mark and Debby are, even on this radio show tonight as they're talking, they love to work with people. And I think Mark even said it, he loves to work with newbies. But they really do love to work with people and teaching them. It's sort of like, they start to glow when other people are hearing what they're saying and catching on and then sort of doing it. It's sort of like a mother and father's pride in their children. That's how they are, and they really do explain everything. They teach you. They show you how to do it. If you've got a question, they will answer it right then and there. So if you are really passionate about this field, about paranormal, it really is good to at least try one of their con-cons. And I think what better one to do it with is Villisca, because the place is amazing. It is it's very small and confined, but it's better that way, I think. I think it creates that intimate session with you and the other side that is of none other. You picture going into a huge prison reformatory, and your voice echoes in there, and it's sort of you feel lost. In this home, it's amazing. So if you do get a chance, go to their website, spirits-speak.com. I think there's on that front page, they've got a link to their con-con to give you all the details of it. It's cheap. It's so cheap compared to, renting out the place yourself or going some other larger conference con-con type of thing. Go and do it with them. They're amazing. And what better way to do it with, I think he's got Scotty Rorick on that lineup, and Johnny Hauser and Chris Dedman. So you've got the best of all the worlds out there, so check it out.
A couple of things I want to say. First off, you know how I feel about Villisca. Villisca, to me, is one of the most amazing experiences we've had. To go with Mark and Debby, I think, is you really owe it to yourself. You have to do this. And one of the things that I'm really, really glad that Mark brought up was intent. Your intent when you go on an investigation, I think that determines the whole feeling that you're going to get. It's going to determine the kind of evidence that you get. And when you're with Mark and Debby, there is no doubt what their intention is. These are two people that really care and they're passionate about what they do. It's not about the provoking. It's not about getting, the spectacular, I want you to come through. These are two very serious and very good people. And I can't say enough about them. I really do adore these two people. I think they're awesome. I really do.
Just to touch on Villisca, and if Mark and Debby are still listening, everybody naturally thinks of the house and what you've seen on Ghost Adventures on their episode when they were there. But if memory serves me correct, I don't think the guys Ghost Adventures went down into the cellar, and I should have mentioned that to Mark and Debby, that they should, don't leave that out. It is a smaller, confined space, but that cellar, and we've talked about it on, I think, 2 previous shows, or there 2 shows prior to this, I think we talked about it, that Lucy had an experience down there, and it had to do with the Native Americans in the land. And, we talk about creepy. That cellar was pretty creepy. But not only that, there was, you can feel the heaviness. I know I certainly felt it, but it affected Lucy a great deal more than it did me. And so that's one of the places. So, Mark and Debby, if you're listening, check that out. If anything, if you're not able to get the group down there, but, before you guys leave, check out that cellar and go down there. Just spend 10, 15, 20 minutes down there. You'll find, I'm pretty sure if anybody can get EVPs, it'll be Mark and Debby. If you guys can just go down there and check it out and see what you get. Maybe you may get something. That may have been a good question to ask them. If they've ever gotten anything from Native Americans. Mm-hmm. Damn it. I always think of these questions afterwards.
My connection in the cellar was it was a Native American connection. I mean, there's something about the whole house, the whole land. This location, even though it's small, there's just something about the location that you can feel it. You can feel it the minute you walk in there. And Debby kind of touched on it a little bit with the children. I mean, my impression of what I got there is that the family is still there, but they're together. And I didn't get a sense of any pain or any sorrow. It's like they're still going through the motions of being a family. They're still together. And to me, that makes a difference. Yeah, there is the darkness there. There is a dark presence there. But I think, again, intent, when it comes to the goodness and the love that family has, I think it makes a difference. And I think, to me, it overshadowed any darkness that there is in that house.
Well, we sort of banished that negativity when we first entered the home. We, I even played the role of a cop, and I said, "I'm here to arrest you," and I came in with handcuffs, simply because we wanted whatever that negative energy was, whatever that, if it was the murder of that family, we wanted it sort of away because we wanted to talk to the family. We wanted to talk to the parents and the children, and I think that is what we accomplished that night because, yes, we did get some sort of negativity during the course of the night, but we felt as though that we wanted to banish this negativity because we felt that if there was this murderer still in the home, that the children and family were not comfortable enough to come forward and talk to us. And if we were able to shun that negativity away, it would allow that feeling of comfortableness, of welcoming, for the family to come forward and talk to us. And we certainly got many EVPs that night, full-on Class A EVPs, even from what I believe is the mother calling out. And so Lucy even had experiences of the children touching her in the children's bedroom. So that was the intention that we had. And because of the energy that we placed in that home from that feeling, that's what we got. I guarantee you if you walk in there wanting to only speak to or find out about this negativity or get to, and some people will provoke the negativity into coming forward, you're only going to get that. And I think the children and family are sort of going to hide away because they don't want to come in contact with that spirit, even though they're on the same level, even though they're in that same quote-unquote dimension. They're not going to want to come forward because they're still afraid, if you can believe that.
Do you think that it would be strange if you go to a haunted place and end up having a spirit leave, the place would lose its reputation if a ghost is gone?
That's from Trina Kelly in chat.
Honestly, you know what? If a spirit is to move forward, I don't think that makes a difference. I mean, who are we to say that someone needs to stay in a location? I mean, that's not the whole purpose of investigating. I mean, if someone moves on, then that's what needs to happen, regardless of who's there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Trina, if you're asking the question, because I've noticed this too on a lot of websites for haunted locations where, you can go to their websites and sign up and do a private investigation or a public investigation. A lot of their stipulations that they have are we don't allow for, the seances, the Ouija boards, all of that stuff, but they also say that they do not want any cleansing and they do not want you to move spirits on. I guess, they want to continue to get more money or, they want to keep keep that flow coming through, which, saddens me a little bit. But if we're in a location and we're having a conversation, I don't care what rules or procedures are around or what's been, nailed up on the wall that says what I can and cannot do. I will do it out of respect for the, for the homeowners or the location owners that are there. If they don't want me to do a Ouija board, I won't do it. That's fine. But if I'm talking to a spirit and I feel it necessary to talk to them and they're communicating with us, and we feel it necessary to say, well, you don't have to stay here. You can move on. You can go to the other side, or you can go to the light, whatever that is. I'm going to say it. No one's going to prevent me from saying that, because I don't like tortured souls. I don't like people who feel as though that they're lost. Whether you're living or dead, that's not my intention. I don't feel as though people need to be chained to where they are simply because an owner is telling me to. If I'm talking to the spirit and they're, sort of communicating that they're in pain or that they want help, I'm going to try to do my best, whatever that is, because I still don't know how to do that, or I don't think anybody knows really how to do that. But I'm going to do my best to try and communicate to that spirit and say to them, you can move on. You can go somewhere else. You can go see your family, your ancestors. You don't need to stay here in pain and in agony anymore. Your life is over. You need to move on. You need to let this go. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to prohibit myself from speaking that simply because another human being is saying that I should do that.
That's exactly what I did in the basement of Valeska. And I asked my mom to help this spirit move on. And I don't care who tells me I can't do it. This person needed help. And if I couldn't give it, I called on my mother. And I think we did help. I really do. But anyway,
all right.
We got 4 minutes left. So
yeah, go ahead.
Let me get to the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. And this week, it is Alita Overton of Bedford Heights, Ohio. She likes Prince, Outkast, Florence and the Machine, Huff Paranormal, Anthony William, the medical medium, and, of course, she likes Paranormal Review Radio. Congratulations, Alita. Thank you so much for commenting on our page, and thank you for being a fan.
Yeah, thanks, Alita. What a pretty smile you have. We have your picture in front of us. So congratulations to you. And don't forget, if you want to be a Paranormal Review Radio fan of the week, just like us on Facebook at Paranormal Review Radio.
Okay. Well, you know what? As we travel through our journey in life, we find the things that we are meant to do. Sometimes it's not what the rest of the world thinks it should be. Mark and Debby are two people who have found what they were born to do. They were meant to open the lines of communication to the other side. A lot of people claim to be experts in the paranormal, but they're not. There is no doubt that the Constantinos are the best at what they do. They really are experts. What a pleasure to spend time with such real and fun people. We want to thank them for being with us tonight, and we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. But we haven't touched on Anthony's favorite subject for a while, UFOs. So we have to fix that, right? So next Friday night, join us as we get an update on the recent sightings, revelations, and new mysteries that have been happening with those visitors from other worlds. And to help us catch up on things, guess who's stopping by? None other than the host of Sci-Fi's Fact or Fake, investigator, lecturer, and all-around nice guy, Mr. Ben Hansen himself. So prepare your alien encounter stories, your most recent sightings, and spend a Friday night with us that will be absolutely out of this world. Thank you, everyone, for another great night with friends. The family's growing, and each one of you is very special. Thank you, Anthony, for spending so much time in my head. I'm going to start charging you rent. So until next week, dear Parapeeps, keep your eyes to the sky and have a paranormal week. Good night.
Have a great weekend, guys. Good night.
Paranormal Review Radio. Radio.